Hey there, geeks! I'm Kevin Andrew Rivera.
And I'm Raul Ceballos.
You're listening to Real Geek News,
a monthly podcast where we geek out about movies, TV, and streaming.
We got a month's worth of news to talk about, so without further ado,
let's get geeky.
Okay, so Raul, I just realized how silly it is that we're just standing around here waiting for our intro to end. I'm dancing like a little monkey, and you're just waiting around. And so,
this isn't something that Kevin adds in post. We're actually listening to the intro music while we're waiting for the show to start.
And it's glorious. And it's also just so much easier to do that.
It gets us into it. It gets us into the vibe. Yeah.
Gives me the little music, gets my pep going, pep in my step kind of thing, But we need some high energy today because the first three things today are very bad news that we have to talk about.
Listen, folks, I'm sorry, but Kevin arranged the topics for today.
It's all me.
I'm sorry. The first three topics are kind of downers, so... God, Kevin, you just blame Kevin.
It all begins, man. It's, I like to blame the Academy, and see, I'm not thanking them this time. I'm blaming them.
You're blaming the Academy.
Didn't think anybody would ever do that, did you, Raul?
Well, people have blamed the Academy for a lot of things in the past.
Yeah, that's probably true. And there's stuff that's worth thanking them for today, though. So we will talk about that as well. Also, to all you listeners, it's February 1st. Tomorrow, for us, it's the 30th. Tomorrow, I think James Gunn is supposed to talk about some cool stuff.
Yes.
So we will not be reporting that stuff today on February 1st.
For us right now, yes, it's January 30th, and we are anxiously awaiting the inevitable announcement, hopefully coming tomorrow, the 31st, of finally what this DCU stuff is going to be. And so maybe by the time you've heard this episode, that'll be revealed, and we might even, I don't know, depending on how much stuff comes out, we might have even recorded a bonus episode for you that may have come out before this episode.
All right, then. This is my theory of what's going to be announced tomorrow before anything else, so I can say I called it if it does happen.
Okay.
I'm going to say we're going to get a Superman movie announcement, which we've already heard about this.
Yeah.
We're going to get that. We're going to get a Batman movie announcement and a Wonder Woman movie announcement. So the Trinity will be the first few movies that'll come out.
That'll be the foundation.
And then the other thing is, I think Shazam's not going to be continuing. Zachary Levi is not going to continue with Shazam. And possibly, if James Gunn wants to have extra brownie points for the Snyder people, he's going to continue the Snyderverse, but as an animated film series on HBO Max.
Where are you hearing this?
I don't know. I'm just making that up. That's just...
this is completely... Yeah. I was like, what do you know?
All up in my head. That's all I think is going to happen. If that does happen, that'd be crazy.
That's quite a...
That last one, for sure.
Everything else seemed pretty reasonable until that last thing. I was like, that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah. I think.
Well, hope springs eternal.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be pretty cool. But, all right, you guys, let's dive into this badass news that we got today. It's so bad, you'll almost want to fall off your seat like... Yeah, there you go. See, Raul, I told you I'd use that sound effect. Okay. So, our first main topic today. Sad news. I'm so sorry, everybody. This is Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland is fired from everything. All right, so this comes to us from Kotaku, which is a fantastic name, by the way, for a news article place. Kotaku. The main voice behind Rick and Morty won't be returning in Season 7. Adult Swim announced on Tuesday that it would cut ties with series co-creator Justin Roiland, a decision that comes just weeks after news first surfaced that he was facing 2 felony domestic abuse charges from 2020. It goes on to say, the Rick and Morty account tweeted, or this is Rick and Morty's Twitter account, tweeted, Rick and Morty will continue. The talented and dedicated crew are hard at work on Season 7. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Roiland's voice roles will be recast and Dan Harmon will remain the sole creator through Season 10. Earlier this month, Roiland made a court appearance in an ongoing criminal case in California where he faces felony domestic abuse charges for battery and false imprisonment. The actor and showrunner has pled not guilty, but so far not publicly commented on the allegations. So, and this article told us on the 24th of January, it announced that Squanch Games released a statement revealing that Justin Roiland resigned from the company. And that's the company that makes all the video games that Justin Roiland works on.
Is he a founder of that company? Is he one of the founders?
He's a founder of that company, one of the founders. And on the 25th, Hulu, the Disney-owned streaming platform, drops Justin Roiland as well. Roiland was the co-creator and executive producer on Solar Opposites and a performer in Koala Man. Both Hulu animated series are now expected to go on without him. Raul, this is insane news, dude. Now, we're voice actors, so first thing I want to hear, Raul, from you is, what do you think of this as a voice actor? Like, how do you look at this as a voice actor? And then how do you look at it just in general? Like, what do you think of all this, man?
Well, I mean, the situation coming from the perspective of a voice actor, I mean, if you're a voice actor, don't do any of these things.
Don't do any of those things.
I don't know. Well, I guess when you ask me from my perspective as a voice actor, you're specifically talking about the recasting process, I'm assuming.
Put chance, yeah.
Yes,
let's talk about that a little bit.
I don't know. I mean, as much of a downer as this whole situation is, it does seem like they do say the roles will be recast. Basically all of Justin Roiland's voices.
That's a lot of voices. He basically voices almost everybody in every show he's in. It's kind of crazy. I mean,
it's enough already that he's both the voice of Rick and Morty, the two main characters of the show. But he's got a whole bunch of other side characters too that he voices on a regular basis. I mean, this is inevitably something that they're going to look for a sound-alike, you know, somebody who can do another voice actor who can do all of Justin Roiland's voices. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the next step in the process, is to find somebody who can do that. There are plenty of people out there on Instagram who I'm sure are chomping at the bit. Instagram, TikTok, sure are chomping at the bit to put themselves out there as the next voice of Rick and Morty. In fact, our buddy Brock Baker, he put out a funny post about like something along the lines of, like, you know, I feel bad for the casting director who's now going to have to sit through all these bad Rick and Morty impressions now.
Hi, my name is John. This is my Rick impression. I'm Rick. Yeah, I'm Rick, baby. Yeah, hire me, baby.
Yeah, look, you know,
jeez, Rick, jeez. Like,
you're definitely right, though. I have seen so many people on social media now being like, okay, I'm ready to do it.
Yeah,
I'm ready to be the next one.
Time to polish off my Rick and Morty impressions. Here we go.
But man, I think this has so much baggage alongside it, you know, because Justin Roiland, again, he is Rick and Morty. He is all these characters that we're about to just ignore his original voice, you know? And it's weird because this is one of those court, situations where he hasn't been announced as guilty yet, except when you hear about everything that's been going on behind the scenes, you can't help but have negative thoughts towards him.
It's still baggage, whether it comes out that he's innocent or guilty. It's still a lot of baggage, you know, and at least for the time being, you know, until that verdict comes out, you know, I'm sure Adult Swim is just looking to protect themselves a little bit, you know, until that comes out.
I think those companies, they're all doing a great job making that decision, just because it's like, Squanch Games, you don't want to be associated with battery and, you know, domestic violence and stuff like that. Neither does Hulu, owned by Disney. Like, it's a no-brainer that these companies would want to retract. I mean, Justin Roiland, he himself resigned from Squanch Games, they announced.
That's right. He stepped down. That's correct.
So even Justin Roiland understands that this is just like a really dirty mess that he's put himself in. And, you know, it's not something that needs to be put out into the public any more than it already is, you know?
I don't think, because I have heard a lot of people, God, and you know, Rick and Morty fans are obnoxious sometimes. You know, obnoxious enough as it is sometimes, like the hardcore Rick and Morty fans, you know what I mean? Like the super, like, you know, the guys busting into McDonald's, demanding, screaming at McDonald's employees, demanding the Szechuan sauce that came back after it became popular from Rick and Morty. Remember those videos that were going around of people just like screaming at McDonald's employees? I'm talking about those Rick and Morty fans. That's the type of Rick and Morty fan I'm talking about. These guys, I've heard them just kind of go after Adult Swim and Hulu and all that stuff and just like attack them online and stuff. It's like, dude, these guys are totally within their right to distance themselves from Justin Roiland at this point. Like they are trying to protect their product essentially. And so, just seeing all this stuff, all the backlash from this super small but very vocal minority of Rick and Morty fans just attacking them online and
yeah, so I think, again, it's a good thing that everybody's making the moves that they're making because of the situation. Once everything gets cleared up, if he's guilty, then he's guilty. That settles that. If he's innocent, then, hopefully it won't affect his career as much that he won't be able to come back or something like that. But that being said, Rick and Morty, again, it's still voiced by Justin Roiland. Yes, there's a bunch of people online who can do great impressions, but I as a voice actor myself, I just feel bad for whoever's going to end up getting it next because
a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot to put on another performer who they know what they're putting themselves into. Mm-hmm. So, maybe I shouldn't feel too bad because they're accepting it. They understand what the pressure is going to look like. But, God bless you.
And just for a lot of you guys who might not know, I mean, this is the kind of process that this involves. This is not... It's not as easy as it may seem to a lot of people who kind of casually kind of follow this kind of stuff. This is not just somebody who can do an impression of Rick and Morty and just say all the lines and all that stuff. You got to check a lot of boxes, right? You got to be able to do the impression very convincingly, and you got to be able to sound like the voice very convincingly, but not just say, the quotes and all that stuff. You got to be able to improvise as, the characters and all that stuff. And on top of that, you got to be able, voice acting, right? You got to be able to act, your acting has to be very, very good and stuff. And this is not just a case of like, let's just find somebody on TikTok, whoever can do a, Rick and Morty impression, a good Rick and Morty impression. Let's just hire them. No, there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked here. And so it's tough. I again, I would hate to be the casting director right now, going out and sifting through all these potential, candidates here for, to replace Justin Roiland. It's daunting.
I threw in the idea to our group chat of, Rachel and Marie, do a gender swap Rick and Morty of Rachel and Marie and see how that goes. But pretty sure
instead of Rick and Morty, it's Rachel and Marie.
Yeah, Rachel and Marie. But it's a dimensional thing, multi-dimensional. Maybe get
never know.
Some new dimensions, new seasons where it's a different dimension of Rick and Morty, but they're different genders. Know what I mean? That'd be kind of interesting.
That's within the realm of possibility with all the crazy interdimensional stuff they do. Sure.
Yeah, multiverse. It really does solve the problems for this show, and I think they've got some directions to go in, although they don't have. Maybe, I don't know how Dan Harmon works alongside other people other than Justin Roiland when it comes to working on this project specifically. Does he get most of his jokes from Justin Roiland? I mean, I'm assuming not, just because Dan Harmon
was the showrunner for, sorry, Kevin, I didn't mean
No, go ahead.
Dan Harmon was the showrunner for Community.
That's right. Yeah.
The show Community, and that's got a huge following, and it's a very good show. I've seen like the first 3 seasons of it, and it's a lot of fun, and it gets really crazy, kind of like almost to Rick and Morty level crazy sometimes, but it's done very tactfully and very well. It's executed very well. Yeah, I mean that's Dan Harmon right there. I mean, he does bring something to it, not just Justin Roiland.
Yeah, so I think, this is definitely a big deal for everybody. It's a big deal for animation. It's a big deal for, performers and everything like that. But most importantly, it's a big deal for our own entertainment for what's coming in the future, something to keep track of.
Now, let me ask you, Kevin.
Yes, Raul?
Would you audition for these roles if you happen to get them?
Absolutely not. I absolutely would not, because that's just a whole nother can of worms. I don't want to be unpacking, as an actor myself, it's that kind of thing where I'd rather be a fan of those main characters rather than be those main characters, because there's already so much pressure on that. Like they're technically now becoming legacy characters because someone else is going to try to have to take that same character and be able to perfectly voice match it. And we've seen a few people who are professionals who can do it really well, but would they want to do it as well? That's another question. If they can do it, and if they're willing to do it, then good for them. But I don't know. It's just not my speed. I don't think that's it's above my pay grade, is what I would say.
Even if I could do all the voices well, which I can't, but even if I could nail them all, I still don't want that kind of pressure.
Oh yeah,
I do not want that kind of pressure at all.
Yeah, there are so many other windows, way more opportunities in other places that you could go into to find the successes that you're looking for as a performer, and that's just a really rough road to go down at this point.
Yeah. So good luck to the next guy that takes over.
But now, speaking of other, bad news, this is bad news number 2 we got to talk about here. Are you ready, Raul?
It's all right, guys. Let's just get through this. Good stuff is coming. We just got two more downer topics.
Yeah, very, very sad. Listen, if you guys remember, we reported this this must have been a couple months ago, Raul. This is about Alec Baldwin being charged with involuntary manslaughter. So if you guys recall, we were talking about earlier how he was working on a cowboy type of movie.
Rust.
And a movie called Rust.
That's right.
And he shot someone, one of the oh my goodness, I'm blanking out here. The cinematographer. Helena Hutchins, I believe was her name.
Yes.
And he shot her and killed her by accident. So that's what's been the story. And he went to court. He's been in court for a while now, and they've been trying to discuss the situation. And this comes to us from the New York Times. So, on Thursday, prosecutors said that they would charge Alec Baldwin along with the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the killing of the cinematographer Helena Hutchins, 42 years old, saying they believed he and Hannah had a duty to ensure the revolver was safe to handle. We're trying to definitely make it clear that everybody's equal under the law, including A-list actors like Alec Baldwin. Andrea Reeb, a special prosecutor appointed by Santa Fe County's district attorney to help handle the case, said in an interview. That's a whole sentence. And she also says, and we also want to make sure that the safety of the film industry is addressed and things like this don't happen again. SAG-AFTRA, the union representing film, television, and radio workers, said in a statement that the death of Miss Hutchins was a preventable tragedy, but that it was not a failure of duty or a criminal act on the part of any performer. If a jury found Mr. Baldwin or Miss Gutierrez-Reed guilty, it would choose between the 2 manslaughter charges. The more serious one includes a firearm enhancement and a mandatory 5-year sentence. The other charge carries a sentence of up to 18 months. So basically, if Alec Baldwin is guilty, he better be, he better hope to be lucky enough to be guilty of the 18-month instead of the 5 years, because that sounds awful.
Those are 2 very different consequences there. Like
right?
I wonder why they're so vastly different. So if he's found guilty of this charge, he could either do the 5-year or the 18-month,
or maybe both. I mean, listen, it's all.
I guess it's just up to the judge, right?
Yeah, it's up to the judge and the jury. I mean, once the jury decides what's going on with these 2 people, that's going to be crazy. I feel bad for the second person because we're here talking more about Alec Baldwin than we are about Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is the armorer. But I remember, Raul, we had this discussion a long time ago when we talked about this topic, where we were bringing up the fact that he was the producer of this movie.
Right.
So technically, as a producer, you choose how to use your finances, and you decided to hire someone who was an armorer who wasn't really specialized in being an armorer. I remember we reported
a lot of the crew there were not union crew.
A lot of the crew were not union crew.
Big problem.
That's true. And so there's just so many backs and forths. In this article, it also said something along the lines of Alec Baldwin started suing actors or people behind the scenes in the movie because he was trying to cover up for himself. And then they're trying to sue him and they're trying to sue other people. Yeah. It's just like this whole disaster, dude.
A lot of blame going around throughout this whole process.
A bunch of blame. And so, there is that side of me that's like, maybe he is guilty because he was the head honcho in charge of all of this.
That's sorry, Kevin. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
That's the point I was going to bring up, is that if you look at this one way, which I'll be honest, when this whole thing first went down, as much as, as much as Alec Baldwin has some issues in his personal life and all that stuff, I did at first kind of understand him. Like, I kind of backed him up as far as it's not his job, right? It's not his job. That's why you have a prop master. That's why you have an armorer. That's why you have someone there checking the safety of all these props, all these weapons, and making sure there's no live rounds in the guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody who is hired to do that job, and it is up to that person to make sure everything is safe on set for all the actors there, for everyone on set, not just the actors, crew, everyone. So, in that sense, when this first all came down, people were pointing their fingers at Alec Baldwin very quickly. Yes, he was the one that pulled the trigger, but ultimately it's the armorer whose job it is to make sure everything's safe. The armorer should have made sure that there were no live rounds in the bullets and make sure there was, everything was safe. Show it to Alec Baldwin, make sure Alec Baldwin saw that everything was all copacetic and all that stuff, and then hand the gun to him. So for a while, I was backing him up on this, right? Because he's an actor, right? He's not an armorer. He's not specialized in this kind of stuff. So how can you expect him to be able to do this stuff? How can you expect him to be able to check and make sure the gun is safe? Actors, that's not their job, right? That's why you hire an armorer. Now, having said that, I later found out that he's also a producer on this movie. Now that changes things a little bit, right? I was backing him up a little bit, but after finding out, oh no, he's a producer on this project, that's why they're charging him. That's why they're able to charge him, right? I think not from the standpoint of him being an actor, but they're charging him as a producer of the film.
I don't know if that's exactly what they're charging him with, but they are claiming that because he had the gun and he did pull the trigger, he was the one that killed this person. And again, they're saying it's involuntary manslaughter. So like he didn't mean to do it, but he did do it. So he is a murderer because he did that. Is what the court is trying to claim. But again, that's like up in the air because I feel like everything about this situation has been up in the air for the longest time. And at the end of the day, you can't really know 1,000% of what all the information for this is, unless you're in the courtroom listening to all the evidence,
Yeah, I was going to say, that's interesting that they're still charging him from that angle, because I figured the only way this would work is if they're going at it from him being a producer, because as the producer, the producer should be in, like you said, is in charge of gathering the finances for getting the right people to be involved with the project. And therefore he should have had a little bit more foresight and a little bit more, awareness as to the people he was hiring, the experience level, and definitely making sure that everybody working on that set was a union worker. I mean, this is a union project, and turns out you got people, some non-union people working on this union project. I mean, that's a big no-no. So, and because of that, it's like you can't verify everybody, on working on the project and all that stuff. So ultimately, him being a producer and being in that role, at the very least in that way, he does share some culpability.
Yeah. And also, I want to point out one more thing, which is the quote that I read earlier that said, we're trying to definitely make it clear that everybody's equal under the law, including A-list actors like Alec Baldwin. That quote to me seems really interesting, just because it sounds like the attorney is trying to point out, or the special prosecutor is trying to point out that, hey, Alec's not going to get away with this just because he's famous, okay? He's not going to get away with this. But then you could also read it the other way, which is just letting you all know, like, no matter who walks into the courtroom, this is all about the law and how we all follow it, and that's it. So hopefully, I just hate the courtroom stuff where they're trying to paint it out as this person's a villain because of this. And it's like, well, okay, this is a more sensitive topic that we're not 1,000% sure of all the information. Just like the whole Justin Roiland thing. We don't have all the information yet, so we can't be quick to judge. But that's the thing about, people in the community. We do judge the moment we hear something automatically. And it's, what's the word I'm looking for, Raul? It's the court of opinion, the opinion, what's it called? You know what I'm talking about?
Were you talking about innocent until proven guilty?
There is that, but there's the court of justice and there's the court of opinion, which is the people.
Right. The people. What the people think.
Yes, I butchered that sentence so badly.
Well, yeah. Well, the court of opinion. That's what that is. Yeah.
Okay, it is the court of opinion. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I think that's just, it does make it a lot harder for this kind of stuff. Also, I think Alec Baldwin's like 64, 67 almost. So if he went to prison for 5 years, the guy wouldn't be out till he's like in his 70s or, late 60s if he gets the second charge.
Yeah.
I don't know when we officially hear what they think of all this, but I'm sure we're going to hear a verdict at some point. And when they do, I'm sure we will report that for you guys. But that's not all the crazy bad news we've got.
One more, guys. One more.
And then
stick it out. I promise it gets better.
It'll be so good. I swear. And then we're done. This is the last bad news of the day, and then it goes uphill from here. So we got Ezra Miller. Oh, Raul, how'd you know I was going to say Ezra Miller?
Ezra Miller saga continues.
It continues. Oh, boy. I bet you listeners even thought, oh, he's probably going to talk about Ezra Miller. All right, here we go. So, yeah, Ezra Miller finally enters the chat, and he declares himself as guilty, and he goes for the guilty plea. So this comes to us from ABC News 10. So Ezra Miller pleaded guilty in Vermont Superior Court Friday morning to misdemeanor unlawful trespass. The charge was added by the state of Vermont in December. According to the plea deal obtained by News 10, it changes Miller's original plea of not guilty to felony burglary and misdemeanor petite larceny. Both of those charges were dropped as part of this plea. Police said Miller broke into a longtime friend's home and stole several bottles of alcohol in May of last year. Miller was sentenced to 89 to 90 days suspended sentence, meaning he will not serve jail time, a $500 fine, and 1 year of probation. Attorneys for the state of Vermont say this will allow Miller to continue their career and ongoing mental health treatment. Miller agreed to 41 conditions as part of the plea deal, including no drinking, no probation, and random testing for drugs and alcohol, as well as an agreement to continue seeking mental health treatment. Oh, man, I'm pretty sure this is like the 7th time we've reported something about Ezra Miller, Raul. And,
Well, at least it's not. Well, at least it's not something new. Like, at least he didn't do something. This is part of. And just to be specific, this is specifically the charge. This is specifically the incident of him breaking into somebody's house and stealing their alcohol. This has nothing to do with him choking out a woman. This has nothing to do with the alleged grooming of the minor that was that was going around. That. This has nothing to do with those other things. This is specifically for this incident that he's being charged for, nothing else.
This is ridiculous. This is, this guy. This person. I've been wanting Ezra to have some kind of rebuttal about some kind of consequence, because every time they go out and do something, we're all clearly okay, something's wrong, something's going on, and your mental health is not okay, and someone should be doing something about this.
Right.
And it's so nice to see that finally Vermont, the state of Vermont, had the courage to finally put them up against the law and the court of law and get them to plead guilty. Not only is this the reason why I think this is so good is because of the fact that he's got all these 41 conditions. That's crazy. All these different things that they're going to have to work on in order to continue to live as a civilized human being in our country, which is fabulous because this affects the rest of their life. It's not now. This helps prevent the choking out people. It helps prevent breaking into people's houses. It helps prevent everything that's been going on with Ezra. I've said this every single time, Raul. All I want for Ezra Miller is to worry about his mental health and just take it easy. Take a break. Stop doing your acting stuff for a couple of years. Just don't do anything. Stay at home with your mom. Relax. And take care of yourself. Yeah. Drink some water, Ezra. You got to take care of yourself. Because I think the more we see this person going out and doing these things, the worse it gets. And no one's doing anything except until now. This is awesome.
Well, especially since The Flash has still not come out yet. And it's any potential thing that Ezra Miller can possibly do from here until then is only going to just like taint the ramp up to the Flash, at least for Warner Brothers, from their perspective. I'm sure they're seeing it that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know, now that we've segued into the Flash, I definitely don't think he's gonna be coming back. I know there's always been these rumors about, oh, you know, the CEOs or the businessmen behind Warner Brothers are saying that there's a good chance he could come back. They'd consider it.
That's right. There was that story going around.
It's not up to the businessmen whether he comes or they come back. It's up to James Gunn. James Gunn has not confirmed anything to anybody about Ezra Miller coming back.
That's true.
And
we'll probably find out tomorrow.
Yeah, but basically by the time you people hear this episode,
this
we will know.
News. This could be old news.
This could totally be old news. This could be completely old news. They might announce a new Flash movie without Ezra Miller, you know, or they could just say, we're resetting all the DCU. Cool. That's what I've always wanted. I think that's the only way to fix the DCU at this point. But, you know, going back to like all the movie stuff, you know, Ezra Miller, I just don't think that they're in the right mindset or place to be doing all the Hollywood stuff right now.
Right. I don't think they're going to continue to. This does seem like a wind down as far as Ezra. You know, I have no knowledge of him taking on any new projects.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think they're gonna have to take a break. They're gonna have to take a break, and you know, more news to follow up. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more. I would be surprised if they ended up doing a lot of the junkets, the press junkets for the Flash movie when it comes out. Because I think it's.
Oh, you would be surprised.
I would be surprised because I think
yes.
it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea for them to be showing up for that kind of thing. So please, Ezra, stay home. That's all we're trying to say here.
Now you don't think so? So you don't think he got off too easy then, huh? I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, he got off too easy. He should have been sentenced to, 5 years in prison or whatever."
5 years. I mean,
something
listen.
severe.
I'm just happy that they showed up in court and they actually got some consequence at this point, because it's just been ridiculous. Like, you see things online about like, oh, so Will Smith gets kicked out of the union and stuff like that, and he can't do union movies anymore, but Ezra just gets to do the Flash? Are you kidding? Like, guys, don't worry. Everybody has their due process, and their consequences always catch up to them eventually. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing it with Ezra Miller. And I think
people who are making those statements about Will Smith are severely wrong, because he's not kicked out of the union.
He's not kicked out of the union.
He's just barred from going to the Oscars for 10 years. So whoever's saying that, stop it.
Damn, though, 10 years. That is pretty incredible. The guy's going to be in his 60s. My God. But again, Ezra, take a break. We need you to. And I'm sure once everybody feels like you've learned your lesson, kind of thing, right? I guess it'll be time to come back. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, Raul.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. I'm sure we'll see Will Smith again, by the way, too. Well, we're already seeing him. Yeah. But this isn't about Will Smith. This is about Ezra. But oh boy, this news stresses me out, Raul. You know what doesn't stress me out, Raul?
Here we go.
Some good news, baby!
Yes.
Yes. So, we are finally done with the bad news. Thank you guys all for sticking with us for these first 3 things. God, it's just court date after court date after court date with one guilty. Everybody else is still innocent until proven guilty. So,
by now, we have lost about 50% of our listeners at this point.
Dear
Just
Jesus.
3 topics in.
Please stay and understand. We have more good things to talk about. It goes uphill from here. So our next topic here is actually Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reunion special coming to Netflix.
Power Rangers.
Bow, 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 bow. But yeah, I think this is going to be pretty cool, because this comes to us from Entertainment Weekly, or EW for short. 3 decades after becoming an afternoon phenomenon, members of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers cast are reuniting for a scripted Netflix special celebrating the enduring legacy of Haim Saban's creation. Did I say his first name right, Raul?
Haim Saban? Sure. Yeah.
Sure it is. Our ranger.
Why not?
Our Ranger family runs deep. Walter Emmanuel Jones tells EW of getting to play Zack, the Black Ranger, 30 years later. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, once and always. I know, 30 years. It's been 30 years since he's played the Black Ranger. That's crazy.
I feel so old.
Don't you know it? It's 30 years, Raul. 30 years. We're all getting old. I'm 28, so I guess it was.
Oh, shut up! You're a baby.
Before I was born.
You're a baby. Shut up.
Blue Ranger's my favorite. But so Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, it's called. It stars Jones, David Yost, original Blue Ranger Billy. Yeah, Billy, my boy. Catherine Sutherland, who became the second Pink Ranger Cat in season 3, as well as Steve Cardenas, Karen Ashley, and Johnny Young Bosch, who's also an anime voice actor, shout out to him, who joined the show in season 2 as the second Red Ranger Rocky, Yellow Ranger Aisha, and Black Ranger Adam, respectively. The special also features Barbara Goodson, voice of Rita Repulsa, Richard Horvitz, our boy Richard Horvitz from Invader Zim, voice of Alpha 5, and new addition Charlie Kirsch as Min, the daughter of original Yellow Ranger Trini. Trini was played by Thuy Trang. I probably butchered that name.
Thuy
Trang, who died at 27 in 2001 after being involved in a car accident. Rest in peace. There is no word if other original cast members are involved or if the special will tribute original Green Ranger Tommy actor Jason David Frank, who died at 49 by suicide in 2022, which we did report a couple months ago. Raul, I know you're a very big fan of Power Rangers. Dude, what do you think of all this news? What's going on?
This is great. Now, this was my jam growing up. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Those, especially those first few seasons, those first iterations. I think I kind of dropped off around like Power Rangers Turbo or Power Rangers Turbo, Power Rangers in Space, something like that. That's kind of when I stopped watching. But man, this original team, or at least the original run, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers run before they switched over to Zeo, this was my jam right here, you know, and you got these same actors coming back. David Yost, David Yost, Walter Jones, Catherine Sutherland. I mean, these guys are all coming back. This is the original team, the OG team. And I know I'm pretty sure over the course of the show's run, you know, in all the different iterations over the years, a lot of these older actors have come back, right? I think they've done that before.
Oh, yeah. There's been like a bunch of meetups with all the Power Rangers in history.
Yeah, they've done that. And there was like one with like all the Red Rangers, I think.
Oh, such a great episode.
All the old, I haven't seen that one, but I know of that one. So these guys have shown up like here and there, you know, again, over the course of time coming back and playing their respective characters. But I think, is this the first time we're seeing like just these guys together again? Like some of the original OG crew?
I think so, probably.
Without being involved in any of the new stuff? Like without being involved with any of the new actors or the new Rangers? This is just going to focus?
Yeah, I think it might be just them in this one. It is the 30th year anniversary, you know, so Netflix knows what they're doing with all the nostalgia, because we're all the young kids that grew up. We're now in our 30s and late 20s. And, you know, it's a pretty big deal. Like, it's pretty incredible. Heck, I just seeing the photos, like if you listeners, if you guys just Google the picture of this show, this new Netflix thing, it's so cool. It's very nostalgic just seeing the Rangers all together huddling up and doing their poses. And the fact that they got this new scripted thing is pretty cool. Raul, do you think, Raul, that we're going to see Jason David Frank in this special at all, or do you think that he's not going to be in it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he died very recently, so I would imagine that at the time they shot this, he would have been alive. But so far we have heard no confirmation of whether he's involved or not. God, that would be so cool if he is. I mean, that would be what a nice send off that would be. You know, one of the last things that Jason David Frank did would have been possibly doing this reunion, right? Like what a send off that would be.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, and it is plausible because, again, like he only died very recently. What, like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I'm sure they've shot this, you know, a long time ago. You know, possibly early last year or late 2021. I don't know, but
if anything, I think it'd be really nice if they had like towards the end of the episode, this special that they're gonna do, they have either footage of like homage to the two actors that have passed away already, or maybe if Jason made it in towards the end of the episode, that'd be pretty awesome too. If not, just something at the end just to say dedicated to these two actors.
Say, at the very least, you're gonna see, without a doubt, you're gonna see something at the end of the credits saying, for Jason, something like that. You're gonna see a dedication. But as far as if he's in it, I don't know. I'm surprised. Maybe it's too soon. That's probably why. If he's involved, they haven't released any promotional material with him. I'm just speculating. If he is involved,
it comes
maybe
out
that's
in
a
April.
reason why we haven't seen him in any of these photos.
Yeah, they'd been. I read up a little bit of extra stuff about the production side of this series or this thing that they're doing, and they've been talking about this for like almost 2 years. And Jason was also a part of the conversation, and he wanted to be involved and be a producer for it. So there is a good chance that he had some say in what happens in this project, in some way, shape, or form. So that there's definitely that. So I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see what they end up doing with it. I think it's gonna be cool no matter what. I've got good feelings about it. I grew up watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, not in '92 because I wasn't born yet, but I think by the time I was like 4 or 5 years old is when I started watching Power Rangers, and I'll always remember the theme song as we sang. But also, man,
wait, hold on a second, hold on. Which version did you start watching?
Go Power Rangers!
Okay, you watched the original first.
Oh yeah.
Do you know which version was happening at the time that you started watching Power Rangers?
I think
which iteration they were at?
The outer space one, the
Power Rangers in space.
I think in space are the ones where they had the cars.
That's Turbo.
I think.
Yeah.
Which one was the last one that came out, or the later one that came out of the two?
Oh well, Power Rangers in space came out after Turbo.
Okay, so space was definitely the one that was currently out when I was a kid watching
You're
it.
such a baby.
It's what I do, I suppose.
I was there for '92. I was there for the first season. I was there for the OG, man.
Yeah. Push up your glasses a little bit more as you say that, would you? But no, I think the last one I watched was, let's see, I saw Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder.
God, that's way beyond me. That's way past my time.
Dino Thunder had such a great theme song. Ninja Storm, that was my super weeb phase. Like that, I think that was the entrance of anime for me, where I just knew anime was my life now. And then Ninja Storm came out, and I was like, I'm in. Let's
I don't know.
Go. Go Power Rangers, go Ninja Storm, let's go. Oh man, it's so good.
I don't know this at all.
You old man.
This is totally different from me. Wait, I do wonder, what do you think the narrative of this will be? Like, what could possibly justify, like, what gets them all back together? What brings Rita back in Alpha 5? Like, I wonder what the narrative is going to be for this.
All right, well, if we're thinking realistically that the other Power Rangers of the future aren't there, and it's only the timeline of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, where does this fit in the timeline?
Right. This is like MCU level timeline now.
Yeah.
In this multiverse.
People are asking these questions. People are already asking these questions right now. If you go online, I'm sure people are like, well, is this a separate universe, or is this the same OG Mighty Morphin universe?
If you look at Billy's glasses, they're tinted a little differently, so maybe this is from the multiverse of...
Is everything changed? Do they go back in time like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, and now we're in a branched timeline? What's happening?
I mean, listen, I think that they've got to have just like, Zordon's going to be like, oh, Rangers, a new villain has come to the future and blah, blah, blah.
Threat has arrived.
There's no one else who can stop them except for you. And the Rangers are like, oh, no, I thought that we already took them all down. All the monsters should have been dead by now. Oh, no. And then they all got to get back together. And then, like, the Black Ranger's like, no, man, I gave up that a long time ago kind of thing. And, it's going to be like a whole, like, come together right now. Justice League.
Oh, God.
That's probably what's going to happen. Either that or they're going to be like, well, you are my best friend. I guess we'll team up. And then they just go off and do the thing. That's too easy, Raul. That's too easy. I just want to see. I want
I'm
to see
curious.
good writing.
I'm very yeah. I hope it's written well.
This
like,
better be Oscar worthy. I
I'm not
want to see.
expecting. Look, I'm not expecting that. I just don't want it to be bad. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
Nobody
that.
wants anything like that to be bad. I'm hoping, man.
But you know what? It for all we know, we just remember Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as this awesome show growing up. But it might have been garbage, Raul. You never know. Although I will beg to differ because the Mighty Morphin's Power Ranger movie that came out where they were all dressed up as ninjas, I was like, I'm in. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Let's go. But
I'm sure if I watched it again, I remember watching like the original run a few years ago and going, yeah, I mean, I love the show, but yeah, this doesn't age well.
oh yeah, every time you see people get beat up and they fall to the ground, they flop after an explosion, you got to look at them. You got to be like, Annie, are you okay? So, Annie, are you okay? Oh, hey, speaking of Michael Jackson.
I know where that's going. Oh, boy.
Hey, this brings us to our next topic here. We got Michael Jackson has a biopic coming from director Antoine Fuqua. I am not saying that last name correctly, but it sounds awesome the way I'm saying it.
That's it. That's the way you say it.
Is that correct? Oh, yeah,
Antoine Fuqua. Yep.
There's so many names today that I don't know how to pronounce, and I'm having fun. All right, so this comes to us from IGN. Lionsgate has announced that Training Day director Antoine Fuqua, Emancipation, the guy who directed Emancipation, The Equalizer 1 and 2, The Magnificent Seven, Training Day, he's going to helm the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic. Michael, and, it's going to be called Michael. And that it will be produced by Academy Award-winning producer Graham King of Bohemian Rhapsody fame.
Huh.
Three-time Oscar nominee John Logan will be writing the screenplay, and his line of work has included The Aviator alongside King and Gladiator.
Damn.
Aviator, Gladiator, yeah, all the ators. Michael will give audiences the never-before-told and in-depth portrayal of the complicated man who became the king of pop. The official description of Michael reads, "The film will explore all aspects of Michael's life, including his most iconic performances that led him to become the greatest entertainer of all time." Now,
all aspects, huh?
when I first saw Michael Jackson, it was after I'd seen the movie Shamu. Or no, I'm sorry, Free Willy. Free Willy. Same thing, it's whatever. But I saw Free Willy, what was that, 98 or something like that, Raul?
No, dude, that's good. That's like
96?
early 90s.
Early 90s?
You keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
Well, I remember when I first saw that movie, and at the end of the film on the VHS tape, this is how old it is. It was on a VHS tape.
93, by the way.
90, a year before I was born? Are you kidding me? Guys,
Yes, sir.
I'm very old. I'm very young. That's probably good. My wrinkles are not kicking in just yet. But no,
shut up.
This sorry, Mr. Baldman. But no, I think when I first saw that movie at the end of the end credits, after you watch it on VHS, they play the song from Michael Jackson. The one, I think it's called "Hold Me." Hold me.
Ooh, it's the one that.
Yeah.
I'll be, yeah, I'll be there, I'm not a human.
Yeah.
Also, this is our singing episode, so we are going to be doing a lot of that today. But yeah, that was the first time I ever heard Michael Jackson, and I remember I looked at my mom. I'm a little like 4 or 5 year old, and I was like, "Mommy, who is that wonderful woman who's singing?" And she was like, "That's Michael Jackson."
That is a
Oh,
man.
and that's when I learned who Michael Jackson was.
Who is that white woman who's singing?
She's so lovely. And then my mom was like, "Oh boy, here we go. This is the conversation I gotta have." But yeah, Michael Jackson, hey man, that guy has been a part of my life since I watched Free Willy, that's for sure. But Raul, what does this look like to you? How do you feel about all this?
This is interesting. I mean, with all obviously the elephant in the room, all the controversy and the drama surrounding Michael Jackson with his various, the allegations towards him and the child abuse and all that stuff. I mean, that is a very big part. I mean, you're talking about, he is the king of pop, and he's got a stellar record of works and successes in his music. I mean, you're talking about hit after hit after hit for decades. I mean, for what? I mean, from ever since from the 70s all the way up until the 2010s, or When did he die?
2009.
2009. Okay.
Yeah.
From the 70s all the way up until 2009, the man was working constantly, and he put out so much. He had so many successes and so many hits, and he just became synonymous with pop, and everybody around the world became familiar with his music and grew to love and love his music and love him as a performer.
Yeah, honestly, like if you're like under the age of 15 or something like that and you're listening to this, I'm 1,000% sure you've still heard this guy's music before because it's everywhere. Michael Jackson, like you were saying, Raul, it sold so many copies. It's actually, I believe I read this correctly, it is the highest sold albums. Like he sells the most albums out of everybody in music history. Still to this day, no one has topped him yet, which is insane. That's incredible.
Yeah, not even Elvis, right? No.
Not even Elvis.
Right.
King of rock could not beat the king of pop, baby. That is how it happened. But yeah, I mean, you know what's crazy? I still remember the first time or the day that I found out Michael Jackson died. I was in 9th grade in high school.
Oh my
and
God.
we were at a graduation ceremony, and I was in the chorus because we were singing for all the seniors that were graduating. And I was just in the middle of the chorus, and somebody just screamed it out in the middle of the crowd, for all the families that were watching the graduation. They were just like, Michael Jackson died! And then, like, everybody's like, wait, what? Okay, all right, that's funny. Good one. And then the graduation ended, and we started walking home, and my sister's pulling up her phone saying, oh my God, Michael Jackson died. Oh my God, Michael Jackson died. Ah! And then I went on a huge hiatus because I just, all I could do was listen to Michael Jackson music for months.
Right.
Months. It was crazy.
Everywhere. You couldn't escape after his death. I mean, the TV stations, MTV, VH1, they were playing Michael Jackson music nonstop for weeks, I remember. After that happened.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's been such an important part of a lot of our lives for people all over the world. His music undoubtedly will live on, and we're in love with his music.
And
now,
also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, go ahead and say what you were going to say before I take this little twist here.
Okay, I was just going to point out that, there's been biopic stuff of the Jacksons before, of the whole family. There's, like, been long TV series kind of specials.
Yeah.
Which have been good. I remember watching them growing up and thinking that they were good quality in my eyes at the time. But, this is the first time we're going to actually get a real biopic film of Michael Jackson. And so I trust Antoine Fuqua and, Michael, what's his name? Graham King, John Logan. These guys are all experts in their craft. And just hearing the credentials that they have has given me a lot of confidence that this is going to be a fun movie. So fingers crossed. Let's hope for the best. Let's see what we get out of it. What do you got, Raul?
Well, Kevin, I mean, there's the elephant in the room, obviously, about the other side of Michael Jackson, and the whole issues with the courts and the allegations he's had about, child abuse and things like that.
Just
right?
When you thought we were done talking about court allegations.
Look, man, I know.
We still
right?
get another one.
I was going to say, we have moved on from the downer stuff, but look, I mean, this cannot go overlooked here is the fact that there's been a lot of behind the scenes drama or a lot of drama in Michael's personal life, a lot of controversy. So I'm curious, how do you think Antoine Fuqua and the writers and all them, how are they going to attack this movie? How are they going to present this? Are they going to present this are they going to take us one side or another? Are they going to present this as unbiased as possible? How would you attack this?
I think they're going to do as unbiased as possible, mainly because in this article, it also reports that the family of Michael Jackson is also producing this movie. And so there could be a position in which they could take the stand of, no, he's innocent. I don't think that's going to be the case because
you're going to piss some people off.
I think they're probably going to take it as neutral as possible. They're not going to show you anything with kids, is what I think. They're going to... I'm assuming they would probably cut to scenes where people are asking Michael behind the scenes, like, Michael, did you do these things? And he'll probably respond with very vague responses that'll make us kind of question it ourselves. And we'll think of the answer. You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those things where I think the director's going to go, what do you think happened? But
this is a very sensitive subject. I mean,
it's
I
a
feel
very
this
sensitive
is gonna
subject.
be. You got to be so tactful with how you present this, because you're gonna piss off one side or another, no matter what you do. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So they
But
got to be
Raul,
super careful. Yeah.
we haven't thought about the most important thing about this. Who's going to play Michael Jackson? Because they haven't announced anybody yet, and they're already trying to go into pre-production, and they want to start doing cinematography. So at any moment, we should be hearing who's going to play Michael Jackson. Who do you think should play
Dude,
Michael Jackson?
I can't even begin to hazard a guess. Honestly, I just can't think of. Michael Jackson is so unique. I mean, there are lots of imitators. There are a lot of Michael Jackson impersonators, right? I mean, you see that all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But to be able to look the part, sound the part, have the acting chops, I don't know. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. It's going to have to be a situation similar to Elvis, where, like, before the casting of Austin Butler as Elvis, like, I couldn't think who the hell could be Elvis. Like, it was the same situation.
Yeah, it has to be a complete nobody.
Anybody. And, it's got to be. Well, yeah, I think that could be beneficial. It's just having a complete unknown, and just casting them. Being right, the right. As long as they cast the right person for the role. However, I think it should be an unknown.
Also, just to maybe this will be a little more of a touchy subject, but there's always, I've seen people online asking, like, should Michael Jackson, the actor who plays him, be black or white? And I think a black actor should play Michael Jackson, because we've seen black actors who can, cosmetically for Hollywood change into a white-skinned character before. But whether or not that would work, it's all up to Antoine Fuqua to figure that stuff out, I think, because...
I mean, Michael Jackson... Sorry, Kevin.
No, go ahead. You're good. You're good.
No, Michael Jackson is black, and so I think the person who plays him should be black. I mean, they've done it before with the TV movies and all that stuff. I mean, they've all been played by black actors. It's just for me, I think that the answer to that question is very obvious. He should be played by a black person. I didn't even realize this was up for debate.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a question I've seen on social media, and it does baffle me as well, because I'm like, guys, shouldn't it be a black actor, because he is black?
Of course,
his whole family is black. I mean, if you cast a white actor to play this character, it wouldn't make sense either, because then in the beginning you're telling the story of his life. If he's a younger little boy, he's gonna have to be black.
Yeah. This debate for me is a non-starter.
Oh, yeah,
this is just no.
So for all you listeners, he can't be white. He can't. It's just weird. That's silly. Either way, I know one thing's for sure is that this movie is gonna make so much bank. It's gonna make so much money. Although I'm not sure if it would make $2 billion like a certain other movie we're about to talk about right now, which is Avatar 2 joins the $2 billion club, and Avatar 3 will have Fire Na'vi. So this comes to us from Variety. After just 6 weeks of release, Avatar: The Way of Water has surpassed $2 billion in global ticket sales. It's the 6th film in history and first in pandemic times to cross to coveted milestone, joining an exclusive club that includes Avatar, Avengers Endgame, Titanic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and Avengers Infinity War.
Damn.
Later on, it says, now Cameron is responsible for 3 of the 6 highest grossing movies of all time. He's also the only director with 3 films to cross the $2 billion mark. Notably, Zoe Saldana, who plays Neytiri in the Avatar series, has now starred in 4 of the 6 films to cross $2 billion. She also plays Gamora in all the Avengers movies, the 2 biggest ones that have been popping up.
That's right.
And also on IGN says that James Cameron said that the next films will feature cultures different from those I have already shown. He continues, the fire will be represented by the Ash people. I want to reveal the Na'vi from another angle because at that moment I have only shown their good sides. Ooh.
Interesting.
Okay, well, first things first, Raul. We gotta make sure everybody knows we finally went to go see Avatar 2.
Yes, we have seen Avatar: The Way of Water.
And we have different opinions about it.
Kevin loves this movie. Kevin,
I
Kevin's
adore it.
Favorite movie in the whole world.
So good. and Raul despises it. So no, actually, it's the complete opposite. I'm not saying I hated it, but I don't think the pacing was as perfect as it could have been. My point of view is they could have cut it down maybe 20 minutes at most. Story wise, it had a beginning, middle, and end that I thought made perfect sense to me. To me, it was just a pacing issue. That's all I had with it. But
That's
Raul,
the only issue you had with it?
yeah, well, I mean, there's like other stuff here and there, but I think the biggest thing is also the fact that this movie is setting up sequels. And so there are a lot of moments, like if you refer to Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, there were moments where they keep trying to mention things about, oh, and guess what? We're going to make a Justice League movie. Here's a scene that's all about telling you about the Justice League movie we're going to work on. And it has nothing to do with the movie that we're watching right now. And so there's just a couple of moments in this movie that I felt like we're doing that. Maybe not as horribly as Dawn of Justice, but
I was gonna say for me it felt a little more self-contained than Dawn of Justice did.
listen, the biggest thing. No, I don't want to do any spoilers because this is no spoiler talk on this one.
No spoilers.
But that it is just generally how I felt about it. But
Sure.
Raul, I know you had a deep fatherly connection to this movie.
Well, I will say, I mean, look, I had the same issue with the movie that you did. I think it was a little too long, but I think for me, it didn't bother me as much. It didn't bother. Sure, they could have shaved off like 20 minutes, but I will say I was very enthralled. I was very kind of hypnotized by the movie because it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous film, and we saw it in IMAX 3D, which everybody says that's the way you need to see it. Now, we saw it in IMAX 3D. Undoubtedly, it was a great experience. I love that I got to see it in IMAX 3D. That being said, honestly, this movie's so gorgeous. I can watch it in any form and it would still be beautiful to watch. IMAX 3D is great, but I'm fine. If I didn't have to watch it in IMAX 3D again, I'd be totally fine. I enjoyed the action. The action was very good. The visuals, I mean, that's kind of the star of the movie, right? You go really to see the visuals and the stunning VFX that they were able to create for the characters and the backgrounds and all this stuff. It's absolutely astounding what they've been able to do.
Raul, let me ask you this. Do you think after watching the movie, does it deserve to have made over $2 billion?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. The movies, I enjoyed it, but I will say I am not head over heels for it. I'm not crazy about, I'm not so crazy about the movie. I thought the movie was good. I don't think it was amazing.
So the answer is no?
Now, I don't know, and I'm going to have to maybe do some more digging into this, but my suspicions is that the movie reaching the $2 billion mark has a lot to do with the first movie and just the curiosity factor behind, people who love the first movie are going to go and watch this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who maybe are kind of lukewarm about the first movie there's at least that curiosity factor of, well, I don't know, it's been like, 12 years since the first one? Like, how good could it possibly be? Like, I know there was a lot of that kind of going in, like, let me see what this is all about. Honestly, that was my mindset going in. I was like, let's see what this is about. That's where I was. That's where I was at. Coming out of the movie, I was like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And I think also you were touching on the fatherly kind of thing. I'm a father now, and I have a kid, so I think it hit me a little bit differently than it hit you, Kevin, because there's a lot of big themes about family and taking care of your family, and that's a big theme in the movie. And Jake Sully, the main character, it's a lot about him doing everything he can to protect his family and his kids. And so for me, there were certain moments of the movie that really kind of hit me in a different way than they probably would have before I had my daughter. So I think in that way, I was able to connect with it more. But yeah, I did enjoy it. But I think we have We're definitely on different sides of it, but I do acknowledge that it was probably a little too long. But I was skirting around. We were talking about the $2 billion. Does it deserve?
So the answer is no.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I personally don't see why. I mean, I think I understand it. I think a lot of it has to do with the first one. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I think
you know
just
what?
has to do
Okay,
with the first one.
I'll
Popularity
say
of the first one.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to go back to Pandora.
it was a hype thing. It was a hype thing.
It was very much a hype thing.
I think that when the next movie comes out, it will not be making over $2 billion.
That's the thing. Will we see? Because there's going to be 3 more of these things,
And now they're more consecutive. You know, this isn't like a 10-year gap.
Right.
Like they didn't
Shorter
have 10
time
years
span,
to make this more beautiful. This next movie is going to be coming directly after this one.
Right.
So they don't have time to upgrade their CGI and stuff like that. It's going to look the same.
Does this become an issue of diminishing returns?
We'll see. But also, I could easily talk to you about the whole, conversation about family in the movie, because you're right. There is a lot of family with Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel showed up. It was crazy, guys. Spoiler. But yeah, there is a lot of family stuff. But I could argue that the family stuff didn't work. But I don't want to go into full details. Tell you what, for all you listeners out there, if you want to hear an Avatar 2 review, email us and let us know that you want that, because if you don't, we won't.
We did debate it. We did debate on maybe doing a review episode.
We did, but more importantly, Raul,
yes.
Do you think the fire stuff sounds like a really cool thing? Because personally, I think it sounds pretty awesome.
That's cool, and that's right. That's the other part of this topic is the ash people, right? That James Cameron has commented about. This is interesting. The part where he says, at the moment I've only shown their good sides. So now we're starting to see that maybe there's a tribe of Na'vi that aren't so, that shows a little bit of a darker edge to them. Maybe they'll be presented as another antagonist.
I kind of just like the idea that they're going to be more bloody and violent, because we saw, as James Cameron was saying, we saw their good side.
Well, I don't know if that necessarily means bloody and violent.
That's what I'm sorry. I should have added more of that quote in there. In that article, James Cameron did mention that he wants to see the worst of humans in the first movie we just saw. And then in this new one with the fire, he wants to see the worst violence and gore from the Na'vi that are from the Ash tribe. And so that'll be really cool to see them going at their worst and, not caring about whether or not they should kill you or not. Because clearly from these movies, we see that Na'vi are a very peaceful alien species. But maybe these guys are pretty bad, But
So we got forest Na'vi, we got water Na'vi. So now we're gonna see fire Na'vi. Are we just gonna go through all of them? Are we gonna see rock Na'vi next and sky Na'vi
and then there's gonna be one Na'vi that's gonna be the actual Avatar who controls all the elements. That's why it was called Avatar in the first place.
There's your crossover.
And then cue all the Avatar music.
Suck it, Shyamalan.
Oh, we don't talk about that guy, man. That guy's not a real person. But you know what's really cool is the fact that Avatar 2 did get nominated for a bunch of Oscar stuff. And you know who else got nominated for some cool Oscar stuff is Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett wins Golden Globe and becomes nominated for her role as Queen Ramonda in Wakanda Forever. So this comes to us from IGN. Angela Bassett has made history by becoming the first Marvel Cinematic Universe star to receive an Oscar nomination for a comic book adaptation as Wakanda's Queen Ramonda. While several Marvel actors and actresses have received Academy Awards in the past for other films, like Brie Larson in Room and Natalie Portman in Black Swan, none have been nominated for their performance in a Marvel film. Goes on to say, the film and role for Bassett certainly made waves, as earlier this month she also became the first actor from a Marvel film to win a Golden Globe, again as Best Supporting Actress. This is incredible, man.
It's cool.
This is
cool.
good stuff. I mean, listen, if you listeners have heard our Wakanda Forever review, you will have heard a million times from us how incredible we thought she was. It's a no-brainer. I think she's going to win an Oscar, in my opinion. We'll find out in March, I suppose, but...
Who is she? I got to look. Who is she up against?
Nobody of importance, Raul. Nobody. I can't imagine anybody beating her. Also, there's some situation going on with some other supporting actress who got nominated that, there's a lot of drama behind that. But I don't know. It just feels like it's so clear that Angela Bassett deserved this position or this nomination. And the fact that, we're already seeing waves from the Golden Globe, it does go to show that, it's a pretty big possibility that she's going to win this. What do you think about all this?
Let's see. Okay, first of all, let's really look at this. Okay, this is who she's up against, right? Here's all the nominees for the Academy Awards Best Supporting Actress category, right? So we got Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever. This is who she's going up against. Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Hong Chow for The Whale. Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, which we recently saw, and I really enjoyed it. And Stephanie Su for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So this is who she's going up against. The only thing I haven't seen in this list is The Whale. I've seen Everything Everywhere, Wakanda Forever, Banshees of Inisherin. Have you seen The Whale?
The Whale is incredible.
Oh, I gotta see it.
If it doesn't make you cry 4 to 5 times at least, then you're probably dead inside, is what I would say.
So yeah, I can't say anything as far as Hong Chow goes, but I will say of this lineup, I mean, as far as who made the biggest impact for me, definitely Angela Bassett. I think she nailed it in that movie, and I think it's so cool. This is the first. Marvel films have been nominated and have won Academy Awards before.
Didn't Black Panther get nominated for Best Picture, the first movie?
Yeah, it got nominated for Best Picture. It didn't win, but it did win Best Original Score by Ludwig Göransson, which is awesome because the original score for Black Panther is amazing. It's wonderful. So that was very well deserved. But this is the first time Marvel has won an Oscar for for one of their actors, right?
Nominated, not yet won.
I mean, okay, I'm thinking one for the Golden Globe.
For the Golden Globe,
for the Golden Globe, for sure.
That's already a big deal. That's a pretty huge deal.
Yeah, that's one. So that's a first for Marvel Golden Globe as far as in the actor category, right? So this is very interesting. I mean, yeah, she's nominated, and I don't know. I'd be surprised if she doesn't win it.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is I saw another celebrity that was saying something along the lines of, comic book movies are starting to be taken more seriously now. Mm-hmm. If they were saying things about Heath Ledger, he deserved to get an Oscar as the Joker, which he did. He won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. But this guy was saying Heath Ledger and everybody else that's been in comic book movies deserves Oscars for their performances, because acting is acting, the performance is the performance, and it tells a good story. Right. We shouldn't be taking superhero movies lightly because a lot of them actually have really good, meaningful stories and points of view and stuff like that. So when you look at Angela Bassett, it's a no-brainer. I'm not gonna lie, I saw that list a while ago when it came out, and my brain just erased everybody else's name because Angela Bassett was the one that stuck out the most to me. So yeah, if she doesn't get it, then I'll be surprised. Now, what I'm more worried about is Best Actress, which is between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh. And I think Michelle Yeoh deserves it. I think she's gonna win. But
didn't she win for the Golden Globe? Didn't she win the Golden Globe?
She did win the Golden Globe. Yeah. So she's got Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Cate Blanchett is nominated for Tar, which I just saw last week, and it's really good. But I think Michelle Yeoh still has it.
I haven't seen Tar, but I now have my SAG screeners, so now I can, I'm going to start sitting down and watching these movies, because a lot of the movies nominated for the Oscars are also nominated for the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So now I have my screeners.
Yeah,
so man. I'm going to get to that.
For all you listeners, send us an email and let us know what you think, who you think's going to win for all these nominations. Do you want Michelle Yeoh to win? Do you think Angela Bassett's going to win? What do you think? You send us an email at realgeeknews@gmail.com, baby. But that being said, Moving on to our next topic here, we got an Alien TV series in active pre-production. This comes to us from IGN. The upcoming FX TV series set in the Alien universe is gearing up for production this year, according to FX boss John Landgraf. The series, which is being helmed by Fargo showrunner Noah Hawley and Ridley Scott, was first revealed back in January 2021 and is set to be a prequel to Scott's 1979 sci-fi horror masterpiece. It goes on to say, the upcoming TV series is due to be set on Earth roughly 70 years from now and will see a core cast struggle and likely fail to contain the insidious spread of the xenomorph threat. Now, I gotta be honest, I haven't seen Alien in years. I have seen it, just not in years, but I didn't see Aliens. I only saw the first one growing up. So that's something that, maybe...
I've not seen Aliens.
Not Aliens. And I think Chad was the one that told me that it's one of the best action movies of all time. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. If you challenge me to watch that at the end of this episode, I will gladly accept. But yeah, I think this would give me a good excuse to go back and start watching all of them. But the TV series, I'm down to watch it. Heck, if it's made now in 2023, it's going to look incredible. They're going to do a fantastic job with the writing, hopefully, fingers crossed, as we always say. And, if it's due roughly 70 years from now, like this, I think the quote's trying to say it's a prequel to the first one, but it's 70 years from this current day and age, because in the movies, it happens far in the future.
Way far in the future, yeah.
Yeah, but how do you feel about all this, Raul?
I like it. I love the Alien franchise. Well, when it actually hits, when the Alien franchise hits, it hits. When it misses, it misses. But
yeah, Prometheus was not that fun.
Prometheus, I actually, I've grown to come around to appreciating Prometheus a little more than when it first came out. When it first came out, I hated it. Yes, oof. I appreciate Prometheus for other things now. I just wish it hadn't been marketed to be part of the Alien franchise. I think it should have been marketed as kind of its own thing, even though it's still connected to the Alien franchise. I think the marketing really misled a lot of people, misled me. And I walked in there expecting an Alien movie and walked out kind of pissed that I didn't get an Alien movie. But upon rewatching the film, I've come to appreciate it as its own thing. And it does have a lot of really profound things to say about humanity and things like that. I do really think it's an interesting movie. However, I'm curious. So this is supposed to, it says a prequel to the 1979 film. It's supposed to take place on Earth?
No. Wait, is it on Earth? Wait, hold on a second.
It says the series is due to be set on Earth roughly 70 years from now. So I find that interesting because up until now, there were at least until the later movies, there's been no indicators that we've had any xenomorphs on Earth. I assume that the original Aliens film, that was the first time anybody had encountered that was the first encounter of the xenomorphs. All the encounters of the xenomorphs have been in space. I'm not counting the Alien versus Predator franchise. That has nothing to do. I mean, those take place on Earth, but I'm not counting those at all. The main Alien films, if I'm not mistaken, all take place in space. So I'm curious, as this prequel being set on Earth, well, then what happens? Like, by the time we get to the first Alien, like, what had happened to the xenomorphs on Earth? Like, how is this going to end where, I don't know. We're going to find out, okay, they were on Earth and then now they're not on Earth by the time the first movie starts. I don't know.
If I had a nickel for every time you just said Earth, I'd be so rich right now.
I don't care. I don't care.
No,
I'm making points here. No, but
you are making a really good point though, because they're not really, humans don't know what this xenomorph thing is. So why would it be at Earth?
That's what I'm trying to say.
The only thing I can think of is the fact that maybe it was a very controlled space that this alien showed up. Yeah, it was kept in secret. Maybe it was an Area 51 or something like that kind of thing. And
this is a Men in Black Aliens crossover is what this is going to be.
And they just sent it up to space and let it fly out so it could never bother them again kind of thing.
Neuralize everybody.
It could be as simple as that. But, if Will Smith shows up with his neuralizer, then I will be very excited and giddy. Because that would be a really cool crossover, actually, now that I think about it. Only if Kay shows up, though. Kay has to show up.
I do. Sorry, Kevin.
Okay, good.
I wonder, okay, this is said to be a prequel to the original film, but will it be treated as a sequel to Alien Covenant, which of course is the sequel to Prometheus? So I wonder, when I say that, I mean, how is this going to connect it all to Alien Covenant? Are there going to be some gaps that'll be filled between what happened in Alien Covenant and what's going to be happening in this show? I wonder, I wonder how much it's going to tie is it going to bridge the gap between Alien Covenant and the original Alien? That's my question. I wonder.
Honestly, I think that's kind of most of us right now. We all have questions about it because this is really all the information they've given us. So it's only a matter of time before we see, hopefully, maybe a trailer, maybe some pictures, more news about the cast, and maybe what the story might be about later down the line. But as of right now, all I know is a TV series for Alien sounds awesome, and I'm totally down to watch it. But you know what else is cool and mythical, Raul?
Yes.
Is Violent Night 2, Santa Claus Returns.
Yeah, baby.
It's in the works, baby. So if y'all remember, also we did a movie review of Violent Night, the first movie.
Yeah.
Go check that out if you guys want to see what we thought of the movie.
Check it out.
Spoiler alert, we thought it was freaking awesome, but you can hear us geek out about it. This comes to us from The Wrap. Violent Night, 2022's Bad Santa meets Die Hard action movie was a sleeper hit, making more than $75 million globally on a budget of only $25 million.
Damn.
Plus, untold riches from its PVOD video on demand, released shortly after its theatrical bow. Goes on to say, yes, Wincola said when we asked if the sequel was happening, we're talking about it and we're just making deals and getting everything in order. The second installment will also be written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, but the team will use their time wisely. We have time to really crack the script and figure out the story, Wincola said. And we have some ideas, me and Pat and Josh and the producers. We've been talking about where we want to take it and what we want to see. As for the story, expect to see a lot more of the traditional Santa Claus mythology, but with a Violent Night twist. There's stuff we left on the floor, like the North Pole, Mrs. Claus, Mrs. Claus and the elves, Wincola said. So that comes to us from The Wrap. That's something we were talking about in the movie review. Like, what are they going to do with Mrs. Claus? That'd be so epic if they did a sequel where they had a war in the North Pole. The brother of the characters that we see in the first movie shows up to try to kill Santa as well, and blah, blah, blah. You know, like, that'd be so cool. Come on, man. What do you think about all this, Raul?
I'm all for it, man. The first one was so much fun, and if they treated the second one as much as they did the first one, just like, don't take it too seriously, you know. The thing about what Violent Night was, what made it so great, was that it didn't take itself too seriously. It really leaned into what it was, and
David Harbour.
David Harbour.
David Harbour, man. He's incredible.
And I remember when we were doing our review, we did talk about, like, oh, if they made a sequel, how cool would it be to go to the North Pole? How cool would it be to meet Mrs. Claus, the elves, all that stuff?
I want to see evil elves or, like, picky elves that are jerks to each other. Like, I want to see, like, a whole social community of characters of elves interacting with each other. Like, I want to see that. I want to see them killing humans.
I was gonna say, I want to see elves killing people. I think how cool, you know, maybe the second one we see, whoever it is going to the North Pole to attack Santa. You know, and it's a lot, and then, like, Santa, Mrs. Claus, the elves, you know, battening down the hatches and just trying to fend off, you know, whatever kind of threat, a slew of, I don't know, bad guys to come and, you know, take over the North Pole. It would basically be the same kind of Die Hard situation, but instead of a random mansion, it's, you know, at Santa's in the North Pole, you know, Die Hard, but in the North Pole. And you got
maybe
Mrs.
instead
Claus
of
kicking ass.
Maybe instead of Santa finding a house where people are all fighting, he accidentally picks up a child from their house and brings them to the North Pole, and that's what starts all the action. Or, Raul, there's also the idea that we saw a lot of, like, history behind who Santa was back in the day.
There's a mythology.
It would be so cool to see more mythology of Santa Claus and where he came from and stuff like that. Because we got a taste. We got such a sweet taste. It's incredible.
Like the Viking angle. He was like a Viking berserker or something like that.
Oh, it's so great. Without spoiling too much. I just know one thing's for sure is, like, Something I said last time we were doing our movie review for this was like, man, I'm totally gonna buy the DVD when it comes out. I want this in my collection. I want to watch this every year for Christmas so that I always know I have it there for me to watch. This is one of my favorite Christmas movies now of all time.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's really, really fun, you guys. If you haven't seen the first movie, what are you waiting for? Yeah, I know it's February, but go check it out. It's really cool.
It's on VOD.
It's on VOD. It is. That's what I'm saying. But Raul, any more last thoughts before we move on to our next topic here?
No, man, I can't wait to see what this turns out to be. I mean, they tease it right here. All the ideas they left on the floor. I mean, North Poles, Mrs. Claus, the elves. This is all stuff we speculated on if there was a second one. This is all stuff we hoped for, and it sounds like we're gonna get it.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, listen, with that all being said, our final topic of the day here, of our 10 topics that we always choose, is, guess what, guys? Steven Spielberg is working on a John Williams documentary. That's right. You heard it from me. This is coming to us from THR. John Williams, the legendary screen composer behind some of the most recognized movie themes of all time, is now the subject of a feature-length documentary with his longtime collaborator Steven Spielberg among those spearheading the project. Amblin Television, Imagine Documentaries, and Nedland Media are in the very early stages of production on the documentary that is being directed by Laurent Bouzereau. As I said, these names today are going to be fun. Bouzereau, I'm going to call him Boozy. Boozy is a documentarian whose credits include Five Came Back, Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind, and Mama's Boy, A Story from Our Americas. Spielberg is executive producing along with Brian Grazer, Ron Howard, Daryl Frank, Justin Falvey, Justin Wilkes, Sarah Bernstein, and Meredith Kalfers. That's so many producers. Good for them. Williams, now 90, was expected to retire after finishing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, being directed by James Mangold. But at a talk with Spielberg on stage earlier this month, Williams surprised his friend by saying that he no longer planned on retiring after that film. Yeah. A visibly emotional Spielberg remarked, he better figure out what film he was going to do next then. John Williams says, you can't retire from music. It's like breathing. It's your life. It's my life. A day without music is a mistake. That brings a tear to my eye, Raul.
Profound.
It's so profound.
Yeah,
this man.
John Williams just pulled a Tom Brady, didn't he? I mean, I'm retired. JK, I'm not retired. That's crazy.
He's incredible.
I'm happy. I'm so happy. I mean, he did say when he was talking about retiring, he did say that he wasn't retiring from music completely. He was still going to compose original works, but he just wasn't going to make film scores. So now it sounds like he's like changing his mind now. He's going to do film scores again.
Our announcement about that a couple months ago has officially been retracted because the man himself has announced he's back. He's not leaving. He's not going anywhere. He never went anywhere, apparently. So good for him. I actually looked up the video of him saying all this stuff, and you got to see Steven Spielberg's face when he hears John Williams say that, and he's just so happy to hear that. And towards the end, he reminds John Williams again, like, man, after hearing all your news, like, maybe I'm not going to retire either then. Good for you, Steven Spielberg, because he got inspired by his old buddy. If we could have Steven Spielberg till he's in his 90s, dude, I'd be super happy with that. That sounds awesome.
He's still putting out great stuff.
Yes, sir. I mean, hey, if James Gunn wants to announce tomorrow that he's working on a Superman movie with Steven Spielberg, oh, mama, that would be incredible. I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, listen, this is awesome news. John Williams documentary, documentary. I had a friend of mine who used to say documentary, and it's documentary. It's documentary.
It's
Raph.
Okay, Kevin. Words are hard.
Words are hard today. And also we're on our 10th topic, so whatever. But yeah, no, I think I'm excited about this documentary. It's going to be really cool. I honestly love these types of things. It's his whole biography, I'm assuming, and they're going to teach us a lot of cool things we didn't know about him. It won't be long, Raul, until the next 30 to 40 years when we get to see a live-action movie biopic of John Williams. That's going to be really, really cool. But what do you think, Raul? Any thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for this. I think this is amazing. I'm surprised it hasn't been done yet. You know, it's
Oh
the same-
yeah.
that in like the Stan Lee documentary that'll be coming out. Like these, you know, these are long overdue documentaries. One about Stan Lee, one about John Williams. Like, and of course, who better to be the producer, be the guy driving this than Steven Spielberg, his longtime buddy and collaborator. This is long overdue, and I cannot wait to delve deep into John Williams' backstory. There's a lot of, he's had some tragedy in his life, so it'll be interesting to see them get into that and explore that a little bit more, because a lot of that tragedy has influenced his music and his writing in a very positive and beautiful way. If any of you guys know about his history and stuff like that. So it'll be very fascinating to see, and anything John Williams, I'm there for. I love the guy. He is my favorite film composer of all time.
Yeah, I think he's mine too.
Wait. I can't wait for this.
Also, a fun fact for all the listeners, and I think, Raul, I think you might remember this. There's this podcast called The Soundtrack Show.
Yes.
By David W. Collins. And he discusses this really cool fact about John Williams where, there's this composer called Wagner. And if you don't know who Wagner is, he's the guy who composed the music that's like bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum. And back in the day, Wagner ended up having a lot of connections to Nazis and Hitler and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy. And Wagner was kind of known to be very anti-Semitic. And cut to centuries later, you got John Williams over here, who's inspired by Wagner's music, and John Williams just so happens to be Jewish. So it's kind of like a take that, Hitler, haha. We're taking our music back, baby, and making something good out of something that could have been beautiful. And the music is beautiful, but you know what I'm trying to say. I think this was a terrible fun fact.
Another downer.
Another downer. No, it's never a downer if you're punching Hitler in the face. Well, it's always good.
Well, it did end on a bright note.
It did end on a bright note. John Williams is an incredible composer who's inspired by all these different resources of music from history, and whether or not they came from a bad place, he made something incredible out of them. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's poetic within itself as the person that he is, But that being all said, that is all our topics for today.
Did we finish our topics already?
We did all 10 topics today. We flew right through, which is great because we're perfect on time right now. And, our next thing here is we actually got to talk about our trailers released this month. Raul, we have Evil Dead Rise. We also had Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer coming out this month, February 17th. Scream 6, we had a trailer for Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. We had a trailer for Renfield with Nicolas Cage as a vampire. The Mandalorian Season 3 coming on to Disney+. Shazam! Fury of the Gods coming out in March. Any of these trailers stick out to you that really, pique your interest you want to talk about?
This was a month filled with trailers that I really just loved. I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of pick one or two to talk about. I really enjoyed almost all these trailers.
Yeah.
God, it's so hard to. I don't know. Evil Dead Rise. I'm really looking forward to that. That looks dark as hell. That looks super scary. Quantumania, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
I said, I'll be honest. The Evil Dead Rise. I don't like scary movies very often, but every now and then I'll see a trailer for a scary movie and it'll actually make my hairs go up. And that's when I'm like, okay, maybe this is actually going to be really good. And should I watch it? I'm probably going to watch it with my roommate. I'm not watching it on my own. That's for sure.
It definitely did give me the creeps watching the trailer.
I definitely don't want my mom to be watching the movie with me. That's for sure. Because I think it's all about the mom killing all the kids or something, isn't it?
Yeah, the mother character becomes possessed by, she becomes a deadite.
Well, for me, I thought the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer really stuck out to me. Seeing Baby Yoda being able to use the Force and starting to throw people around, I'm like, okay, he's like a couple steps closer to starting to say more words too. Like that's pretty awesome. But the thing I really want to discuss was the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. I'm very excited about the movie in general. Like, I want to go watch it. But this trailer, I don't think did it for me.
Really?
Yeah. Is that weird? I felt like to me, it felt like I was watching a trailer from like 1995 where they showed a little bit too much stuff where I was like, okay, you give me a beginning, middle, and end, you know. I think I'm thinking mainly about the line, I don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I feel like that's 75% into the movie already, and you're already giving us that big reveal. Kind of, I don't know.
I would give Marvel just specifically Marvel because they're very good at this. I would give them maybe a little bit more credit. I feel like what may seemingly be, they're showing us the whole movie. I don't think it's all as it seems. I feel Marvel is definitely very good at showing us the red herrings in the trailers.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. You're definitely right.
There has to be more under the surface that we're not seeing, because I was surprised too. I was like, oh damn, they're showing us a lot. But thinking about it and thinking about how Marvel does their promotionals and all that stuff, it usually is, lately especially, has been a lot of like, yeah, but you don't know the real story. This is still like just a fraction of what this movie's about. So I'm wondering if there's a lot more to it than what's being told to us in the trailer.
Maybe for all we know, it could be like an Endgame thing where they only showed us the first 5 minutes of the movie in the trailers. And they made us think that we were watching trailer stuff from like all throughout the movie.
Could be.
So for all we know, maybe that whole I don't have to win, we both just have to lose, that could be halfway through the movie, you know, or maybe 20 minutes into the movie or something like that.
Because I don't think Marvel would give away that much, because they've been pretty good about that lately.
But Raul, if they do, if that is the case, I'll be very sad about it. But that's okay. You know, I'm still excited about the movie. Maybe I'm not Avengers level excited, but this is a pretty big deal. This movie is supposed to like turn us and let us know what this whole phase is going to be about. Right. So
very pivotal.
Very pivotal.
I liked the trailer. I thought it was much darker, and it gave us a better sense of like, oh no, this is a very different kind of Ant-Man movie, because the Ant-Man movies in the past have generally been a little bit more lighthearted. Usually the Ant-Man movies come after the end, right? Usually at the end of a phase, right? Where we're coming out of this really intense kind of ending of a phase or something like that. And then the Ant-Man movie comes in and kind of brings everything back down to brings a little bit more of levity into the narrative of the MCU. But this one, especially after this trailer, you're looking at it and I'm like, oh, there's some big real world stuff that's going to be happening here. Some big time consequences. In fact, Peyton Reed has gone on record to say that the events in Quantumania are Avengers level type threats. So this is going to be huge. I liked the trailer. I thought it got me excited because it looks really intense, and it just kind of, the action looks amazing. I mean, Jonathan Majors as Kang looks freaking incredible.
Almost pressed the button there.
Looks so freaking incredible. Yeah, I mean, this trailer has really shown how much of a threat he can be, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. No,
all the other stuff, I mean, everything else, like, sure, Shazam, I'm excited about. I think, that looks good. Mandalorian Season 3, of course. Scream 6, definitely. That looks really good. Dungeons & Dragons looks fun.
Let me throw something in there about Scream 6. The only reason I'm actually really excited about that one is because I saw the last one, I think with you and Chad, right? Or did I only watch it with Chad? I think it might have been watching
May have just been Chad, yeah.
But I remember really having a good time with Scream 5.
It's good.
And yeah, it was super fun. But Scream 6, shout out to the girl who plays Wednesday Addams in Wednesday on Netflix, because she's one of the main characters in this movie.
Jenna Ortega.
Ortega. She's one of the main characters. She's a great actress. I'd seen her in some other dramatic film where she was a teenager and just everything's going down, really sad and whatever. But she's phenomenal. Dang, I wish I could remember the name of the movie, but I'm never gonna remember. But yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go watch Scream 6 because that does look like a lot of fun.
Looks good.
But it comes out in March. Oh yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I do want to talk about Renfield. If I'm gonna highlight one, Renfield, because this is the one that's like out of left field, right? Everything else is like, okay, Ant-Man, we know. Everything else is like part of a franchise. Scream 6, sure. Shazam, sure. Mandalorian, yeah. Renfield, this is one that's, definitely kind of original, based off of the Dracula lore. And the twist is that we're following, it's Nicholas Hoult as Renfield and Nicolas Cage as Dracula, which, first of all, Nicolas Cage as Dracula sounds so insane.
But so perfect.
And when you see him in the trailer, it really works. Of course, they kind of hold him off till the very end, but the movie's very much about Renfield. It's called Renfield, and it's Nicholas Holt's character, and he, of course, plays Renfield, and we're following him through that, through his point of view. And it's kind of a dark comedy action flick, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. And, the whole concept is he has these powers. Dracula has given him these powers, as long as he feeds him and takes care of him. He's basically Dracula's familiar, but he gives him these powers. And it's like the kind of twist they do with his powers is just like,
it's interesting.
He's like a superhero, basically.
Yeah.
Renfield is basically a superhero.
I will say this. I feel like a lot of Nicolas Cage movies can be hit or misses. Like, for example, my favorite one so far has been why am I blanking out on this?
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That one, that word, that sentence that you just said, correct. I've heard that Pig is an incredible movie, but there's been some Nicolas Cage movies that were just like, okay, they're all right, Right. I think Jiu-Jitsu or something like that, the one where he fights an alien with martial arts or whatever, apparently that was okay.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hoping this movie's like on the better end, so I'm going to wait till it comes out and then go check it out and see what happens
fun.
with it. April 14th, it says.
April 14th.
Now, moving on to our movies that came out this month, or not just movies, but TV shows, we had here on the list, we only had about 5 things so far on the list. We have the movie Megan, the movie A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks, Plane, we got House Party, and then the series of The Last of Us on HBO Max. Which, by the way, The Last of Us, I need to talk about The Last of Us because it just got renewed for season 2.
Yeah, that's right.
We're 4 episodes in. It's phenomenal. It is one of the greatest shows I have seen on HBO Max. It's it's HBO. It's incredible.
I've heard great things about it.
The fact that you haven't seen it makes me want to challenge you to watch it.
Watch it so bad. I just haven't found the time. I gotta sit down and watch it. I want to see it so bad.
Yesterday's episode came out, and all I'm gonna say is Ron Swanson. I don't even have words for it. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. I've heard Nick Offerman's really good. Yeah.
I teared up so many times, and I'm like, man, this is about the apocalypse. What is this? And I want to show it to everybody. Everybody needs to see this show. We're only 4 episodes in.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. I want to watch it so bad.
It's so good.
I got to just carve out some time.
If you're listening to this episode right now and you have not watched The Last of Us yet on HBO Max, get on top of it right now because you have to. Raul, you have to.
I know. I really want to. I'm going to. I need to carve out the time. I will carve out the time.
One last thing I'll say about it is by far the closest game to TV adaptation that has ever come out. I don't think I've ever seen a single live action project, movie, TV show that's come this close to what this content is giving me.
Not even The Witcher?
Not even The Witcher.
Wow.
But also The Witcher was more focused on the books than it was on the games. But that's a different story. This is video game essential, man. It's just you gotta watch The Last of Us. It's so good, and the things that they do change and add in, I'm like, mwah. It feels like it always belonged there. It feels like it's always supposed to have been there. And the best part about it is Neil Druckmann, who's the director and the creator of the Last of Us video games, is also directing these episodes and controlling the show as well, and he's one of the producers. So of course it's gonna be like almost exact. Oh, and season 2 is gonna come out.
Along with Craig Mazin, who's the showrunner for Chernobyl, which was amazing.
Oh, Oh, what
That was
a
a great
perfect
show.
combination, Raul.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. Everybody, please go watch it. It's so awesome.
So now it's renewed for season 2,
Yeah.
which I've heard will be based on
Part
The
2?
Last of Us Part 2.
No spoilers for anybody who hasn't played the games, but it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. And I have heard that season 2, the story might be so big that they might have to do 2 to 3 seasons of it. So I'm okay with that.
Interesting.
That sounds good to me. Last but not least, I did also watch Megan this past month. And it was actually really fun. I had a really good time
I've heard
watching
it's
it.
fun. I've heard it's a good time.
I didn't watch A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks. I feel bad about that, but that's okay. I'll probably watch it on streaming. Plane was the one with the guy from 300, I think, where there was some prisoner on the plane and the plane crashes and now he's stuck with this prisoner in an abandoned island.
I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah, and then House Party was the one where these two friends
Right.
throw a party at LeBron James's house without LeBron James knowing.
That's a remake.
It's a remake?
It's a remake from like a movie series from like either the late 80s, early 90s. They made a bunch of them. House Party, starring Kid and Play. I'll let you guys Google that. Kid and Play.
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't do it for me when I saw the trailers, so I didn't go see that one. But Megan and The Last of Us, if I had to recommend any of them, just yes to all of them. They're awesome. It's cool. And they're making a sequel to Megan. They're making a Megan 2, so
2.0 or something like that.
I think so, yeah. But Rolo, I'm gonna guess you haven't seen any of these movies.
I haven't seen any of these. I will say I have seen A Man Called Ove, which is the the original book is called A Man Called Ove, and they made the movie. Where did it come from? What country? But they originally made a movie based on the book, A Man Called Ove, and A Man Called Otto is the American remake of that.
Oh, okay. So technically, you've seen this story already.
Yes, and I really enjoyed the original film.
I just like the idea of Tom Hanks being an angry old man, because like you don't really see that from him too often.
Yeah, you don't see that.
So when you finally get the chance to see in this movie, it does give me an excuse to want to eventually watch it. But again, I'm probably going to wait till it's on streaming.
It's really sweet. So I'll be curious to see how this one, whenever I do see it eventually, compares to.
Well, I'm curious actually about what you think about some other movies we're about to discuss right now, because we have our Movie of the Month challenge, a quick segment where we challenge each other to watch a movie we haven't seen yet. This episode's movies of the month were Beverly Hills Cops for me and Bumblebee for Raul.
Well, you gave me two movies.
But I did give you two movies, because if you had seen Bumblebee, the second movie would have been Moulin Rouge. So did you watch both, or did you watch only one of them?
Now, the reason I remember last episode, I wasn't sure if I had seen Bumblebee or not.
Okay.
And I know why that was, is because I own Bumblebee. I own Bumblebee on VOD. I own it, but I haven't seen it. So I own it. So I was confused as to whether I'd seen it or not. That being said, I still haven't seen it. So I watched Moulin Rouge.
Oh my God.
I watched Moulin Rouge because, well, here's the thing. It was I watched Moulin Rouge last night, but there was, so we sat around last night and I was like, okay, well, we only have time to watch one of these movies. I could either watch Bumblebee or Moulin Rouge. And my wife was like, let's just watch Moulin Rouge. So we watched Moulin Rouge.
All right. Okay.
So that's what I ended up. I did start Bumblebee after we finished Moulin Rouge and got 10 minutes into it before it was time to go to bed because I was starting to get tired. So I've seen the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee, but I've seen the complete entirety of Moulin Rouge.
Thoughts?
So that's what I'm going to talk about.
Let's dive into it.
Okay, this is, I'm not familiar with any other of Baz Luhrmann's work other than Elvis and The Great Gatsby, but of the three, this is the most Luhrmann-y of Luhrmann films I have ever seen. I mean, this is Baz Luhrmann, I'm assuming at his finest. This movie just like throws you into it, and I will say it was a little overwhelming. It's just the editing and the quick cuts, and it's just very in your face.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the Baz Luhrmann style. But this movie just throws you right into it. And
It's just colorful explosions in your face.
a lot. And I was really, for a long time, I was like, can we just get a minute to slow the movie down a bit? It's a lot. It's a lot. But I later come to understand that, okay, this is part of it, right? This is part of it. Baz Luhrmann really is a master at kind of immersing you in the story. And the editing, and he's great with the editing, right? In all his stuff. Editing is very key. He's known for his quick editing and just kind of chaotic. He's very kinetic. His films are very kinetic. They're always moving constantly. So that's how I felt watching Moulin Rouge. The first half hour, 45 minutes was a lot. It was very overwhelming, but but after that, it started to calm down a bit. Okay, we're getting into the story. And I will say, I really enjoyed it. I love the music, especially in how, a lot of the music is a lot of pre-existing, hits and pop hits and things like that we're all used to. But I really appreciated the way these songs were orchestrated and arranged and incorporated into the movie itself.
Oh, yeah. They worked so beautifully. The music was gorgeous.
It does. And, it's an older, I think it came out in 2001. So as far as there's a lot of effects heavy work on it. And there's a lot of obvious green screen, which doesn't age as well today, but it was still captivating. And like I said, Baz Luhrmann, one of the things I appreciate about Baz Luhrmann is he's able to take a period film like any of the Elvis, Great Gatsby, and make the audience feel the excitement, the same excitement that the people at that time would have felt by using modern day music. And I really appreciate that he does that, specifically with The Great Gatsby. I know there's a scene where he's hosting a party, Gatsby, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is hosting a party in his home, and the music that's used is hip hop. It's not 1920s music, but he uses hip hop and stuff because he wants the audience to feel the way those people would have felt being in a big party in the Roaring 20s. Anyway,
what did you think of Ewan McGregor singing?
He didn't bother me. I've heard a lot of worse actors singing. I mean, Russell Crowe in Les Mis. I mean, come on.
Did you think Ewan McGregor was bad?
No, I'm saying I liked his singing. I'm saying why? Where were you getting at?
Well, because you said, I've heard worse. Was he bad?
I thought you were saying, I thought you were asking me that because I don't know, you had a tone. I thought you were asking me that hey, it's bad, isn't it?
No, I love his singing.
Okay. No, he's got a great voice. Yeah, no, I mean, I love the way he sings.
It's stuff like that made me realize, why hasn't Ewan McGregor done more singing stuff? This guy his notes, he sings so high. He's impeccable. He's a beautiful tenor.
I do wonder how much of that, because I haven't heard him sing anything else. So I wonder how much of that is natural. Did they have to auto-tune him or anything like that? I don't know. But also, it sounded great.
The other thing I'll say is that it was Nicole Kidman. Sad, and I was just about to say, it was so sad and disappointing that Nicole Kidman didn't show us the AMC opening before the movie started, because she's in the movie. Come on, man. But I think it's a fun movie. Moulin Rouge is awesome. A lot of the songs get stuck in my head so often. Mm-hmm. I'll find myself singing the Elephant Love Medley song. I was made for loving you, baby.
Yeah, that medley of all the love songs there. Yeah, it was great.
Just works so well. And I think they've also done Broadway West End shows of Moulin Rouge, which I've heard the music. It's okay. I think I like the original movie, but it's probably because I grew up with it. But it's that kind of thing where it's a fun time, and by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh my God, I experienced so much just now emotionally. What's wrong? I know I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, but go watch it, everybody, if you get the chance to go see it. It's a really fun one. One of my favorites, for sure. But I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed the movie.
I did. I really liked it.
Well, on my end, I watched Beverly Hills Cop with Eddie Murphy.
That's right.
And speaking of music, I've had that song stuck in my head of you know what's sad is that's the song I I realized that I learned that song because of Family Guy originally, which
Oh God.
that's how you can age me right now with freaking Peter Griffin. Like that's hilarious. And so when I finally heard it, I was like, oh my God, that's where this is from. That's awesome. But also,
Oh my God, Kevin.
is it not from that originally?
No, it is.
Oh, okay,
I just
cool.
can't believe that you discovered it first through Family Guy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'd never seen Beverly Hills Cops. But the big thing about that song is that the first few times I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, that's where it's from. Okay. Oh, okay, they're playing it a second time. Oh, okay, they're playing it a third time. Oh, okay, they're playing it a fourth time. But then something happened halfway through the movie where I went, they're playing it a fifth time. Hey, they're doing it a sixth time. Oh, hell yeah, this song's awesome. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. And so, like, I don't know what this movie did to me, but everything about it in my brain made me think that this movie shouldn't work. Like, this movie shouldn't be as fun as I think it is. But I had such a blast watching this movie.
Oh, great.
It was the moment Eddie Murphy opened his mouth that I instantly was just sucked in.
Oh, yeah. He's firing on all cylinders in this movie through and
All
through.
cylinders. Yeah. Dude, oh my God, his laugh when he's just I was the first few times I heard it, I was like, oh, okay. But then just like the music, the more I watched this movie and I heard this guy's laugh, I was like, he's great. I love this guy so much. He's hilarious. And just the way he interacts with the other characters on screen. One of the things I always complain about is like the acting style from back in the olden days was different than how much more intimate we are now when it comes to acting. Eddie Murphy was so intimate in the 80s. And I'm like, man, this guy could do movies like this now and they would still work perfectly, which is why I'm really excited that they're doing more Beverly Hills Cop movies, apparently.
Yeah.
Fourth movie, I think they just announced.
Fourth movie.
I thought there were only two, so I'm like, I got more movies to watch, apparently.
Well, there might as well be just two. There is a third one, but that's not great. It's not very good. The first two are great, though. The first one, for me, is the best one. But the second one is really a really decent sequel. Third one, don't even watch it. Don't even watch it.
Is it like Superman 3, where they added that new actor, and it was just like, what the heck is this kind of thing?
I don't know. Honestly, I can't remember because I only saw it once and I never watched it again. But it takes
Enough said.
It takes place at a theme park. The whole movie takes place at a theme park.
The third one or the second one?
The third one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be.
Which sounds really fun, but it just wasn't executed very well. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. See, there you go.
Honestly,
a detective story that doesn't have to be.
But it wasn't detective stuff, really.
He's a detective.
He's kind of a detective, but he's a cop.
Doing some detecting, you know.
I once you meet the characters that Eddie Murphy interacts with too, like you fall in love with the world he's living in. And also, you know, I guess I am kind of biased because we live in LA and I see Beverly Hills all the time. Like I drive by Beverly Hills a lot. And so when I see a lot of areas from Beverly Hills in the movie, I'm like, that's exactly what it's like over there in those places that they go to. Yeah. The people they interact with. The French guy, I'm just gonna say that the French guy. I was cracking up so much.
Serge.
And when they started dropping F-bombs, I was like, oh, this is an R-rated movie. Oh, that's right. That's hilarious. And I think that captivated me even more because it was just so funny. It was so good. The character interactions was the thing that really cracked me up a lot.
Did you know, Kevin, the interesting piece of trivia, this movie was originally going to be much darker, much more serious, almost no comedy, and it was originally going to be set to star Sylvester Stallone as the main character.
I feel like that'd be kind of boring.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it was going to be a completely different movie, and then I can't remember what exactly changed, but it was reworked into more of a comedy, and then they brought on Eddie Murphy, and it was, for its time, very refreshing because you had never seen an action movie like that with a comedian in that big of a role, you know?
You know what? It gave me a lot of, like, Rush Hour vibes, but, like, with less of, you know, the kung fu stuff.
Right.
It was more of a, if Chris Tucker had done the movie in the 90s, that would have been his movie, is Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, it was like in one of the early one of the earlier entries of the, you know, the detective cop action comedy.
Yeah, and I loved it a lot because I don't know. Also, Chris Tucker, I think, would have made a very different Axel Foley in this movie. I don't know if I would have wanted to see someone being like, "Hey, come on, man, let's go, let's find some people," like, just all alone. I don't think he could have carried that. But Eddie Murphy's just so smooth. What a smooth guy. He was able to convince people, trick people, and oh man, it's awesome. It was a really fun movie. That all being said, Raul. We got to give each other our movie of the month for next month. Mm-hmm. And I'm already going to give you Bumblebee because you didn't get the chance to really finish it. So we automatically have that for you.
I'll watch Bumblebee.
Watch Bumblebee, and you have it on video on demand. But what about you? What's your movie for me?
Honestly, I came in with no movie prepared for you until we got started in, talking in the show. And I think I will give you Aliens.
Aliens.
Your film. Yeah.
Okay.
So you've seen the first one. Right?
I've seen the first one.
Okay, so this is another James Cameron, sequel. And I remember I was just thinking way back in the first episode we were talking, you were like, what James Cameron sequels are even any good? Like this Avatar 2 coming out. I was like, Aliens?
Oh, well, Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Just to name a few. But this is a great one. This is it just takes the genre into a totally different direction. That's all I'll say. I'm sure you've heard people talk about it before, but watch Aliens.
Yeah. Okay. So then, Raul, you will watch Bumblebee, and I will watch Aliens.
With an S.
Aliens, with an S. Plural. Aliens. There are multiple of aliens.
There's more this time.
I liked it. Well, then
they're pissed.
Xenomorphs. And then eventually I'll watch Alien versus Predator, but I hear that's a whole nother can of worms.
You don't have to. You don't need to worry about that.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, with that all being said, we made it to the end! Thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Real Geek News. You can also follow our separate handles on Twitter and Insta at Kevin A. Rivera VO and Raul Ceballos VO.
That's right. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can definitely check us out there. We've got, full episodes, and we also got our movie reviews there, which a lot of people seem to like. Those movie reviews seem to do really well there, Kevin. So
keep watching.
Yeah, watch them or listen to them, and be sure to subscribe. I don't know, like, comment, whatever the hell people say now. Hit that little bell or whatever. And also, if you want to help us boost the quality of our show even more, just help us find more listeners, please go on Apple Podcasts, leave us a positive 5-star review if you can.
Or really a bad one. If you want a bad one, give us a bad one.
Don't give us a bad review, Kevin. What the
hell?
We'll
learn. We will learn.
No, that is the opposite of what we want. We want positive reviews are what gets the algorithm to get us up to the top in the Apple algorithm. So please do that and support our show.
Hey, and also finally, want to share your passionate thoughts and opinions about movies? Any movie reviews you'd like us to do? Avatar 2, perhaps? Probably not. Well, then send us an email at realgeeknews@gmail.com. We'll leave all the descriptions below. With that all being said, stay safe, stay classy, and most important of all,
stay geeky, my friends.